Are we on?
We are.
Greetings. Welcome to our HappyBasins Jungle Room. Thank you, lover. Thank you. I am super excited to be here today on our Thursday afternoon live. And as you saw on the video thumbnail and description, I am going to talk about all the fabulous art that's in this room. I've been promising to do this, so I was excited today when I decided that this was going to be today's episode. It was actually really hard for me because I have so much art in this house, fabulous, beautiful art created by my friends and some of my Facebook friends whom I've never met in person, but have had lots of contact with, like Michelle Maddox, who made these two beauties and this, but I'll tell you guys more about it later. But also, besides just down here in the jungle room, which you're not going to get to see today, I have all kinds of fabulous art upstairs created by my daughter and friends and, like I said, Facebook friends. So, and more. I can't even really think of all the art that we've had added to this house over the years by friends and family. And when I started collecting stuff to show for this broadcast, I had to really limit myself to what's just in the jungle room. It would be a whole nother episode to take you guys upstairs and show you all of the cool stuff we have up there. Let's see, I hope we're started here. Usually I can see it on Facebook or YouTube, and I do not. Oh, do I? I just have to make sure. I should have checked as soon as we started. Oh, there I am. I'm on Facebook. Let's turn the volume on for a second. Yep, we have volume. It's just not the same without Larry being here because he takes care of all of this hard stuff, and I just get to have fun and talk to you guys and show you stuff. But when Larry's not here, I have to do all of this technical stuff. But thankfully, the reason why I'm doing these at 1 p.m. is because he's home for lunch from 12 to 1, and then he can set everything up and press start for me before he walks out the door. So I'm a bit spoiled. And as you guys heard on Tuesday, we had an announcement on Tuesday that Larry's going down to 3 days a week. So he will actually be here every Tuesday to carry the camera around as I show you guys all of the cool stuff on Tuesdays. We feed and take care of Jaja and the living room pets. And then on these Thursday live feeds, we're doing room tours. And as you know, today's room tour is our jungle room art. So we really enjoy getting to share that with you guys. Chandonay, I think I'm saying that right. Chandonay, thank you for being here today. We're always excited when you guys are here with us. It's really fun to share. It's just amazing to have this opportunity because, as many of you know, I take every opportunity I can for people to come and visit our jungle room. I love to share all of this with folks, and it feels empty sometimes to just get to be in here and appreciate everything all to myself. And when we do all the cute stuff like putting the animals in the rain chamber, and every little thing they do is so adorable, especially Jaja upstairs. And I'm just constantly taking pictures and videos. And like I always say, I don't get on and post things the way I should. But sitting here talking to you guys live, it just feels like show and tell, and it energizes me to get to share. So when I get to actually show you guys live how cute everything is, it really just thrills me. And I am thrilled today to get to share all of this art with you guys. Hello, Eric. Thank you for coming back, Eric. I know a lot of people on my live feeds have been asking about this beauty right here, this Gaboon Viper. And the Gaboon Viper has been a really popular piece. Usually stays upstairs, but since I've been doing these live feeds down here in my little corner, I have decided to bring him down here. Just right now when I was talking, I hesitated for a second because I just realized that I'll have to show you guys this whole desk I'm sitting on. This was actually a custom piece of art from my friend's brother. A beautiful desk, and I just thought about all of the cool little features on it. So I might even just start with the desk now that I think about it. I do have a couple pieces of the desk I'll have to run and get just to show you guys the additions that go on it. But we've been chatting for 5 minutes, so I think we're about ready to start. Hello, Kimberly. Thank you for all the love you've been giving me on the Facebook post, Kimberly. I really appreciate it. Thank you. When you guys like stuff that I post and comment and heart stuff, everybody gets joy out of that. Of course, that's how the system is set up. But I just love knowing that somebody else is appreciating and looking at all of the cuteness that I'm so lucky to get to see every single day. All right, well, let's get started. I did say I was going to start with this desk, so I think I'll just go ahead and do that. While I get started on the desk, look at how Larry's got this camera set up so it follows me around. And then and it even goes all the way backwards. It's incredible. And then I double click and it's supposed to take me back over here. Let's see how that, all right, so that takes it off me when I double click that. Now, while you guys are waiting for me to go grab something real quick, you can just have a little look at this desk and kind of think about the design of it. If you can see how it's rounded over here. Let me just grab something real quick. If I would have thought about the desk, I would have already grabbed this, but that was a surprise to think about it being one of our art pieces. Okay, I have the thing here that goes here. And these are, you guys know what these are? They're called, oh boy, I think they're called fennels. I can't remember if it's fennel or fennial. I think it's fennial. And they are things that go on fence posts. So let me fix this camera back up just a little bit. Larry wants me to move my room tours video to Thursday evenings so that he can be here for it, because it really is way better when he's here helping me. I am just going to insert one of these just so you guys can see what it looks like. And Larry has put, actually, here's another art from a friend of mine. She makes these little bottle cap magnets. We used to hang out, but I actually haven't seen her in a few years. She got a new job and has been super busy. But look at this. These are fence post toppings, and they slip right into these holes. Sorry, I won't screw it all the way in. But when I was teaching math at the college, I had this desk was in my office, and I had these finials, and I had these magnets, and I would like put important papers magneted to it, like things that needed my immediate attention. It was just really cool. And I do have 2 of these, and they go right in here like this. But obviously I had to take them out because I, don't want the animals. The animals will definitely get on these things. So those are the finials that go in here. Now let me show you the rest of this desk. I can take this camera right off here, Larry said. All right, now you guys can see, well, first of all, it's very dusty. That's embarrassing if I'd have thought of it. But this right here is a fire hose end, and it came from a shop. Golly, that dust. From an antique shop here in town. And we got that because this desk, it moves. It can spin completely around. And when I had this desk made, it was because I wanted it to be able to move around within a space, because sometimes I like to clear my furniture out in my office to have students, working. I did teachers had to teach math, so I did a lot of little projects and stuff. These are some old, does anybody know what these are? You get these at the antique store too, and they're old crowd control poles, like at a movie theater when you used to put the straps. And then we had these casters put on the bottom so that this thing can move really easy, and we had to have a welder do that. And then, like I said, these finials. So this is a really cool desk, and all I have to do is just move it over to create more space where I need it. And then you guys can see, I'll show you these pieces of art. This is the Gaboon Viper by Michelle Maddox. And you guys can find Michelle Maddox on Facebook and Instagram. She does all kinds of super cool reptile art. It looks real. People often think this is real, like, ooh, what is that? But a lot of my visitors don't know, anything about snakes. But people who do know about snakes know that that's definitely not real, because nobody would have that just loose in their house, even me. So that's a beautiful piece. And Michelle Maddox, Maddix, she does have another name in her profile, I think a maiden name, but Michelle Maddox, you can find her. She does all kinds of neat sculptures, paintings, carvings. Speaking of which, this is the very first piece that Michelle Maddox did for us. Oh, there we go. So the head of this is the only thing that she used some epoxy medium. I don't know, like epoxy, not epoxy clay. I'm not really sure. I don't know a lot about art supplies. But this whole stick right here is a stick that I found at a garage sale. And this thing around it is just a vine, a natural vine that grew around that stick. And obviously somebody had cut it off and was just selling it as a walking stick or whatever. And it would be great for a monstera or a good plant to climb up, add a little moss in there. But I took a picture of it and I sent the picture to Michelle Maddox. I had just seen her on Facebook. She did reptile art. And I thought, this girl does all kinds of cool stuff. I wonder if she could carve an emerald out of this vine. And so I sent her a picture and she said, well, I've never done anything like that, but I would sure love to try it. And I sent it to her, and this is what I got back. Just absolutely beautiful, you guys. And I always brag about, or complain, however you look at it, that Michelle Maddox does not charge enough for her beautiful art. She has very, very good prices. Now, this was another stick that I found. And I sent this to Michelle Maddox and asked her if she could carve another emerald for me. And when she got the stick, she messaged me back with pictures of the stick and her vision that she could carve 2 emeralds into this stick. And lo and behold, she did a beautiful job. Double emeralds all the way up this. And again, this was just a natural stick that I found somewhere. So isn't that incredible? She did such a beautiful job. So those are our 3 pieces from Michelle Maddox so far. Of course, we do plan to get a lot more, throughout the years. And we're super excited. One of our friends and neighbors is a fabulous artist, and she has agreed to work on a piece for us. So we are excited about that. We have only had preliminary discussions about it. Okay, so I guess the one thing I can't do here is get it back on where it focuses on me. So let's see if I I'm good enough in the frame here because I want to show you guys a couple of cool pieces that I can hold up before I go through and show you the beautiful mural by Allison Surf and the details of this beautiful sculpture by Ron Rundo. And who is Ron Rundo and who is Allison Surf? So we'll talk more about that. Now, let me show you guys, this is a neat piece. This is a piece that one of my former co-workers over at the public school where I worked for 2 years, Fountain Lake Public School, his name is Chris Schroeder, and he is the middle school art teacher. Well, he just happened to be scrolling Facebook one night and saw a picture of our beautiful Ningishsara. And he just sent me a picture with this that he took with his phone and said, I just was sitting here and I saw this picture and decided to sketch it. And I said, oh my gosh, it's beautiful and amazing. So I printed out what he sent me. He sent me a better picture and I printed it out on this plexiglass. I try to print our art on plexiglass because I feel like it's safer for the animals. And then when I hang this art on the wall, which you're going to see some other art hanging on the wall, it has these 4 things. And they, it's really nice. You take it off here and then you screw this little piece into the, you put a screw through it. So it's actually sitting solid on the wall. And that way, some of our art may get an animal on it. And I did actually have, which I'm going to put back, I haven't had the animals out and about in this room for a long time. Pretty much since Isis, about a month before Isis had the babies. I think I might have had them out once in that time. But I take soaker hose and I slit the bottom of it. I have all the pieces to it somewhere and put it over the top of this, actually around it like a frame. So that way when the animals get on it, and I just hot glue it. So that's a really nice little feature. So yeah, Chris Schroeder just randomly sketched a picture of Ningishsara, and now it's a permanent piece of our room here. I had some other pieces printed on plexiglass. I'm gonna have to actually get up to show you one of them because it's hanging. When we redid this room, for those of you who know, and we'll do a full episode showing you guys the whole remodel, everything that's in here, we'll just have to have one full episode on nothing but technology because the technology in here is insane. Karen, hello, Karen. Karen, I have a picture of the tortoises upstairs sitting on top of the little greetings card that you sent for the tortoises. And I was thinking the other day when I came across that picture that I'm going to put that card back on the floor and take a picture of the tortoises on it again. And that can be like their annual photo to see their growth. So I was just thinking about you yesterday. Hello, Chris. Thanks for being here. So nice to have you guys here with us. Saran, yay! Yes, Saran, we do have drywall. So Saran is asking, she said she wasn't completely clear on how these pictures hang. So let me just show you guys again. These little things right here, when you go online, I don't know where the website was, but there are lots of them. And you want to get something printed on this plexiglass, they have different options. And this option has something that I liked. And it's these 2 pieces right here. And they're just like a male and female hardware that go together. And this piece just goes right into the front. So you see it looks nice and sharp there. And then this piece goes on the back. And what you do here is put a screw right through there. The screw comes out this back end. I'm just looking around to see if I have a screw because I certainly didn't think about this detail. You put a screw through here and the screw is coming out this end. And if you're using drywall, of course, you have to put a anchor. Is it called an anchor? that one of those plastic things you put in, you drill a hole, you put the little anchor into the hole, and then the screw goes into the anchor to make it nice and tight. Unless, of course, you find a beam that you can screw into, which we did in some cases. Some of our stuff is hanging up in here according to where the beams were, just to make it nice and strong. Especially, I'm looking over there because I have some over there that the animals do actually have gotten on. Make it nice and strong. So once you have this piece screwed into the wall, it still turns, and then you have 4 of them. And then you take this, where's this side? This is screwed in the wall, and then you take this piece and put it right into this hole. And then you're able to screw it together. So now this whole thing has a screw coming out and it's attached to the wall. And you're going to see some hanging on the wall when I get to the part where I walk around and show you another really cool art that's in this room. And you can see that this piece of art has the same situation. The metal things, some of them are not in here right now, but it's the same exact idea. And that's how I had all of these things printed. I initially wanted to do it on glass just because I thought it would look sharp, but I thought the plexiglass was just safer for the animals. Hi, Erica. Yes, anchor. That's right. So this, what the heck? I should actually talk about this last, but I've already held it up, so I'm going to show it to you guys. This is a dragon lizard design. If Larry would have been here today, I would have had some pictures of this. But I didn't think of doing the pictures of it until right at the end. I thought, man, I wish I would have gotten pictures to really zoom in. But this piece of art was done by my daughter. This is a dragon lizard. It has a very special story behind it. I think I might actually save this more for the end. This is a fabulous story. Sometimes I save the stuff that I think everybody might not want to hear until the end, so you can, log off if you don't want the after hours story, like I talked about, the snakes eating and things like that. But this could be an after hours story if you look at it like that. I am excited to share the story about this dragon lizard. So I think I'm going to go ahead and move on and leave you guys hanging. But this is an incredible piece of art. Absolutely. And it's digital art, which you are not able to see. That's why I wanted to do the zoom in, like on some extra pictures, because each of these pieces has full digital art where, like, if you're on the computer, you can really zoom in and it has stories within the picture. My daughter is a digital artist. She does computer programming and digital art. And she does some fabulous stuff where she really loves to do pictures within pictures, so that when you zoom in, your actual art is created out of tons of pictures. And I'm going to show you guys another of her pieces here very soon. But let's see what else we have over here. Maybe I can show you, my daughter's name is Benzie Holler. She got married and her name was Elizabeth Benzie. And when she got married, she decided, because she always just went by her last name in school, so she was just known as Benzie. So she decided to just change her name so that her first name is Benzie. And then her husband's last name is Holler, so Benzie Holler. And she's all over social media, but she doesn't show her art on social media like she should. She has other things. All right, it's kind of hard to see because I have that window glare, but this is something that my daughter made for me right before I went on my very first jungle trip, which I will be doing an episode telling you guys about my trips. That's going to be a really fun one. But this one you can kind of see. Darn, it's so glary, but if you can see that, those are like the different landscapes. You could see Monte Picchu. In this piece right here, you can see I hope that it's made out of piranhas. I can't really reach that. I should have taken it down, but it's up there so good. Actually, I just remembered I have that piece also. There's our Isis. I actually have that piece right here as well. So I think I can show you better right here. So this is one I just had printed out, and it's just cut out of poster and stuck to the door. And the things I was trying to show you right here, the piranhas. And then on this part, you can see the jaguar. There's a frog, a river otter, a parrot, a frog, a monkey. So you can see all different little animals in here. There's the tapir, which on one of my trips came right up to my camera. A wild tapir in the middle of the jungle came right up to me. Crazy, like literally put his snout on my phone, that long snout right there. And then we have paca. This is the main thing we eat in the jungle is paca. And so she put all this stuff on here before any of that ever happened. So it's almost like a future telling story, because we have, seen the jaguar. We've seen all of these things, of course, going to the jungle, you see those things. And then, like I said, we had some of the different famous locations in Peru. Peru was my very first jungle trip. Here we have some of the instruments of Peru. See that? The Peruvian, the type of music you would find at like a ceremony, a tribal ceremony, those kinds of things. And I actually have all of these instruments upstairs in my living room. I have all of that stuff. And then, and I did not have that stuff when she made this. So that's really cool. Here we have some different insects. Some different jungle insects. You could see that fuzzy thing there. If you didn't notice the beetle and the ant, that's a bullet ant. I've never been stung by a bullet ant, but I've seen plenty of them. These bugs here, which I think I have one of those on my desk over there. A fake one, of course. But just different little insects from the jungle. And then here we have jungle fauna. Well, animals are also part of the fauna, but these are the jungle plants. And you see this right here, that's a monkey orchid. So it's not actually a monkey, it's a monkey orchid. And you guys can Google that. It doesn't even seem real that those orchids look like that. But I have seen them like pop up on Facebook and stuff. So there it is. And you guys can really see how she does pictures within pictures. But on that other one, it's a little harder to see. I can try to, now that I have this camera out, let's see if I can show you guys a couple of the things here. It's not going to be that easy to see. I don't know how good this will zoom in. So I won't keep it on this for long, but this is snake tessellations. And what a tessellation is in mathematics are shapes that fit within its own shape over and over and over again. So those are snakes with their mouth open. Really hard to see, I know. These are all vegetables that are not nightshades because I have a little nightshade reaction, so I don't eat any nightshades. So these are all the vegetables I can eat. This is an ayahuasca leaf, which when I talk about this later is going to be relevant. This is a brain path. And then this piece right here, when you zoom in on the computer, you can't see it here, but it says, I am the dragon, I am the dragon, I am the dragon, over and over again. And then every one of these little shapes has a different design in it. There's no pattern or rhyme or reason. It's just whatever she was seeing at the moment. So this piece here is really spectacular. This was the first piece she did, so it's got a lot more detail in it. But it has, I can't even begin to tell you what the stories are inside of here. I'll definitely have to do something with that. Print it out, or like shown on the computer. All right, are you guys ready to see the detail of this? I'm not going to be able to actually be on the camera with this because there's no way that I could get close enough with me on there. That would have to be something when Larry's here, but let me show you guys. All right, well, I'll start from back here actually and tell you guys, let's see where I can get to here. So this is we call this our Audrey. If anybody knows who Audrey is, I didn't. When my friend who actually built these cabinets in here, his wife, who absolutely would never ever come into this room with snakes, saw a picture of this and she's like, oh, that's Audrey. And I didn't know who Audrey was. And I said, oh, that's cute. I'll name her Audrey. Nobody's suggested a name yet. And it turns out Audrey is the tree from, oh golly, does somebody know? Let me see if anybody says anything. Bye, Kimberly. Thank you for coming. Okay, Audrey is from a play, and I'm going to think of it, where everybody dresses up as different things. Anyway, Audrey's a famous tree that I knew the tree, I just didn't know the name. And that show is going to come to me. It's very, very, very famous for a long time. A live play they do everywhere, I think. All right, so anyway, this tree is a 6-foot sculpture done by Ron Rundo from Snakescapes. And if you guys if you want to, you can either Google ronrundo.com, that's Rundo is RUNDO, or Snakescapes, and like landscaping, snakescape, and it's all one word. And this is a beautiful piece that he did. And then the mural that you see on each side is a mural that Allison Surf did, and I'm going to get into the details of that. But first, let's go over here and have a look at Ron Rundo's beautiful sculpture. You guys, this is incredible. We saw Ron Rundo's work online. Other Emerald Keepers had some of his stuff. We went and visited Steve Volk. He had stuff from him. I won't name all the people, but I know a lot of people who have art from here, from Snakescapes. And this particular piece, you guys can see how, look at the detail. It looks so real. When people come over here, they just touch it. They're like, oh my gosh, you mean that's not real? And it's not real, but it sure looks real. And you guys can see how he put the little mold or moss growing on here. He's got his vines all up here, and look at the concavity of this. I mean, you can just feel the love that he put into this piece. And he puts these rubber things in here, really good and strong. Everything's well put together. He designs things like this for museums and zoos. Look, this right here. Can you guys see how that looks like wet, like moss growing under the water that's dripping out? And we told him that we wanted water bowls in here. So he created these water bowls. He gave us everything we needed to keep it clean. And the detail is just fabulous. Look at the mushrooms, the fungi growing on here. And everything that he does is a aesthetically functional piece of art. So this isn't just beautiful, but the textures of the material, the texture of the branches and the vines and the fungi, everything on here is usable by the animal to help with shedding and gripping. It's just fabulous. And then here we had a second water bowl. And up we go. It's 6 feet tall. I mean, look at the rot in the trunk of the tree. It's just spectacular. Seriously spectacular. All of this greenery, stuff I got from yard sales. Where I live, we have a lot of estate sales. So I just found stuff and took it apart and put it in there. And actually, you can't really see it now. I'm not going to move everything and show you, but back inside of here, I have it set up where it's all vine systems. So if the animals were to get back there, which they can, and they do sometimes, they have stuff to slither on. All right, so let's have a look. Sorry, My glasses dropped off my head and I need them to see what I'm showing you guys. All right, these are our perches that Ron Rundo made with this tree. And these perches initially hung vertical here. So it was 1, 2, 3 that came down in front of this tree. And this, when we had it made, was for a 6-foot by 2-foot by 2-foot enclosure that we had created. And these perches were all removable the way they set in there. And that's what Ron Rundo, one of his things that he specializes in is removable perches, because that is something really that people really use with arboreal snakes. And you can see the detail in these perches, and they connected on the sides in some little 3D printed plastic things. I'm really not doing it justice by explaining it like that. But when I decided to cut this, Larry did have to cut it completely out of the old enclosure, which was plexiglass. And I was trying to decide, well, what am I going to do with these perches? Because they just didn't look right hanging right in front of it. And I was just laying in bed one night and I thought of doing it like this. So, of course, I got up out of bed and came downstairs and got it all laid out because I couldn't sleep without seeing how it was going to look. And I just loved it. And then Allison's mural behind here. This mural is very, very special, you guys. Since we just got done talking about Ron Rundo, I'll show you guys. You can see the baby right there. That's baby Peo. And baby Peo was just recently put up there by Ron Rundo. And then it's kind of hard to tell, but right up here you have the spirit babies. And those are if you guys don't know the story of Isis's babies, you'll have to catch that on another episode, because that's a whole long story in itself. But our beautiful Isis had a litter of babies, and we only have one survivor, and that's little Peo. And then we had 2 that were underdeveloped. Well, really just one. We found out later that was just one. So that's the little spirit up there in the sky. And then right over here, we had our 6 little babies that were born stillborn. And all of that was due to poor temperature conditions. I did not regulate Isis properly in her temperatures. So this one in the front is one that actually came out alive but didn't live long. So he's leading the others off into Emerald Forest heaven. All right, let's get to Allison's work. You guys, Allison came over here. She's actually traveled with me twice to the jungle. So a lot of this art has to do with our trips to the jungle. I'm just have a quick look here, you guys, at the comments just to see if there were any questions what I've done so far. And thank you, Erica. Yes, my kid is so amazing. I'm so proud of her. She is my greatest masterpiece. I love her so much. Okay, let's keep going here. Hello, Anita and Nick and Steven. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, so look at this here. This is a fantastic, my favorite piece that Allison did. And this whole entire mural, it's 2 big pieces. There is some detail behind these leaves. And I am going to come back through after I show you guys this mural and just kind of explain what each piece goes. Does anybody know what that is? That is a harpy eagle. Everything in this art has a specific purpose. So you guys have a look, and I'm going to come back and explain to you what each piece means. You know what those are now. And you can see this is a working piece, and you can see some of the sketching that Allison is still working on. So she comes over here and works on this piece periodically and just adds little stuff when we're hanging out and having some toddies. All All right, let's talk about what this is. First of all, you guys, this side over here is a depiction of Isis and me. And you guys can see here, this is actually a photograph of Isis that we took a very close up and printed it out in high quality. And Allison used that as a guide to create this. And she's still working on the body scales and some of the different details. But you guys can see, if you've seen any of my stuff over the years, it's just a big thing. Isis seems to be fascinated with my face. When I open her enclosure, she comes out right to my face and flicks her tongue all over my face. So I don't know what that means. Perhaps it's a note in black and white that she's happy and she loves me. I'm just kidding. That's an inside joke, because one of my friends told me that he'll believe my HappyBasins are happy the day they write it down in black and white. And as far as I'm concerned, they already have and do all the time. So anyways, Isis comes to me and my face like this. I do like to walk on stilts and dress up in parades, and I do paint my whole body blue and walk as a harpy on my stilts. So this is actually a piece of art I have upstairs. The actual lady part is a sticker. And this is a sticker that you can buy on Amazon.com. And it's really hard to apply. It's very detailed. It's a huge, great big thing. And you have to do it very, very, very carefully to get the sticker to come off. And this is on PVC board that we have a lot of PVC board. And she did all this upstairs and then we hung it down here. And it's all removable. It's real easy to take up and down for her to work on. And so you can also see that she is part of the forest. So completely part of the forest. And those of you who know some things about me might be able to guess the significance here of these beautiful fungi. So I won't talk too much about that. Maybe later when I talk about the piece of art, the dragon art for the after hours one. And then up here in the very top, which kind of got covered up by these leaves, you can see that that's like the universe. And there's more up there I can't quite get to, but it's a whole entire universe up there because Larry is so magnificent at taking our ideas. Like I just get the craziest ideas of stuff to do. And Larry just seems to put it all together. So we say he's a universe builder because the universe within this house he has built. So, and then also Allison did do some, well, I guess I'll save that for later too if I decide to mention it. I know that's driving you guys crazy probably. Okay, we'll just move on. This up here is a harpy eagle. You guys, the very first time I ever went to the jungle, I found a harpy eagle. It was making so much noise up in the tree, and I went and told some of the people at the camp that there was something special out there. I didn't know what it was. And they came out, and lo and behold, there was a harpy eagle. Absolutely incredible. Seriously. I actually, like I told you, I dress up as I paint myself blue and I have this big costume of a harpy eagle with big, huge feathers and on stilts, and it's just magnificent. And I thought harpies were magical creatures because that's where I got my costume from, magical creatures. And back then, I didn't even know a harpy eagle was real. I just thought it was called a harpy from a video game. I didn't even know it was a real animal. So that was really spectacular. So Allison added that. And then everything that's on here, every detail are like pictures that we have or things we've seen, different plants that we've admired and learned about. Here, you guys can see there's a patternless emerald. We actually found a patternless emerald. We named him Zex, Zex, which means six in Dutch, which is the native language of Suriname, where we found her. And we named her Six because there were 6 of us on the boat. We found her on the 6th day that we were on the river. It was my 6th trip to the jungle. And I don't even remember what the other 6s were, but we came up with so many 6s. And then this spot right here is an actual spot where we camped for a long time. We found these 2 houses. Well, they're like little huts way out in the middle, abandoned from like an old logging site, just really quick thrown up little sheds. And they were jam-packed full of garbage. And our team just cleared them out, swept it out, made it a nice little homestead. And then you can see this hammock right here is my hammock. I put my hammock right by the front window. And then in this house back here, we decided not to use it at all, even though it was the better house. But we found a fertilance, which is a very venomous snake in there. So we decided to just leave that house back there. Plus, this one was closer to the river, to our boat and our supplies and everything. So it worked out fine. It was a smaller space, but it was better than sleeping with the fertilance. Of course, we have the river. We traveled on the Quarantine River. Well, we also have some images from when Allison and I went to Peru, Colombia, and Brazil and traveled on the Amazon River. But the Quarantine River is where this campsite was. And the Quarantine River is bordered by Guyana on the west and Suriname on the east. And that's what this part of the river is. Now, you see this DNA coming out of the tree here with this big, huge mosquito. And then she's working on another mosquito over here. This is a great story Allison loves to tell, because sometimes when you're out there in the jungle, it is nothing but mosquitoes. You are getting so ate up. These jungle trips are not easy. You do suffer. It's worth it, though. Anybody who's ever traveled with me will tell you the suffering is worth it. And I can tell you that because I've never traveled with anybody once. Everybody wants to go back. But this right here is a situation that I always say. And that's when these bugs are eating you alive. You feel like you can't take it for another second. And I say, just there's no malaria in Suriname. So it's, mosquito bites are never good, but all you can do is take it because there's nothing you can do about it in some situations. But I say to just be grateful that the mosquitoes are taking your blood and your DNA and taking it off into the jungle and spreading it into the jungle. So now part of you is always in the jungle. So that's where Allison came up with the mosquito, the DNA, and then becoming part of the tree. So you can really see that, this was just something that grew in her mind. When she would come over, I would just go to sleep and wake up in the morning and it would be like Christmas. Every time she came over, I wouldn't know what was going to be on the mural. This right here, neither did she. She just did what came to her as she was doing it. And that's what I love about letting artists be creative, whatever they can think of. These are pink dolphins that Allison and I were surrounded by day after day when we were on the Amazon River. We would actually wake up at sunrise. Well, we would wake up about 45 minutes before sunrise and be down at the river. And then our fisherman that we hired would take us out on the big river. And he knew on the big Amazon River where these spots were that fed a bunch of fish into the river. They were like smaller creeks that ran off into the river. And a lot of fish would come and the dolphins would swim in a big circle, which is cool because that's what sharks do. If you guys don't know, I am certified to work with wild sharks and conservation. And it's the same thing. The sharks swim around and around in a circle. So I was able to actually picture what was going on underwater with these dolphins because I'd seen it with the sharks. But we would park our boat right in the middle and they would just keep swimming around and coming out and eating. And that would go on for about an hour and a half. And as soon as the sun was up, the dolphins would just start swimming around. And I have a really cool video of four 4 pink dolphins all breaching the water at the exact same time, just like if it was at a one of those carnivals, or not carnival, but like a SeaWorld type of thing, which I don't agree with. Many of us don't. So there you go, you guys. That is the other half of Allison's mural, and I'm sure I might be missing something. But if I do, I'll come back to it, and I'll bring you guys back to our little trippity dippity part over there at the end. Okay, now let's move over here, hopefully, to these guys. First of all, this is a big iron. I don't think it's actually iron. I'm not sure what it is, but it's metal, and it's a thing we just found at an estate sale and fell in love with it. We're like, oh, it has snakes. And I know it's something to do with healing and medical, and with Larry being a dentist, anyway, it didn't matter. It has snakes on it, and it has angel wings. I just love it. Now this right here is the very first emerald I ever found in the jungle. I found this in near Puerto Maldonado, Peru. And that is over in kind of central Peru. And I was going on my very first trip there. I just wanted to find out what their environment was like. And I was told there are no emeralds in this area. Don't get your hopes up. You're not going to see emeralds. I was told that over and over again. And lo and behold, on my very third night walking out in the jungle, actually, that was my third night ever herping in my life. I've never been herping. I was out in the jungle and everybody was looking for tarantulas, and I found this snake. And when I told the guides, they just kind of chuckled and said it was just going to be a vine snake. And I said, well, it's awful fat for a vine snake. And we got over there and they said, Amy, that's your animal. So that is actually a picture, and that came from Gerard Caralabo. I have it written down over at my desk and I'll find it. But let me show you guys. I actually have more of those over here. And these are the frames that usually have the soaker hose on them, but I took all of that off. And these are the same animal. Isn't that cool that Jerry was on our trip with us, and he's a professional photographer. So we actually got really good professional photos of him. And there's a good story behind that. I didn't know anything about emeralds at the time. I'll tell that story when I talk about my trips. Let's look over here. Here we have Jormungandr, you guys. We are pretty sure Jormungandr may have gone through ovulation and had an ovulation shed. So that's pretty cool. But as far as art goes, I wanted to show you guys just a brief little thing about these enclosures, because this whole room is art. All of these cabinets were specially designed and created by one of our friends right here in where we live in the village. And you guys have seen, many of you, one of the favorites on my channel is the video of the 90-year-old woman who wanted to touch a snake. It was on her bucket list, and she got all covered in emeralds. Well, her brother is the one who made all of this cabinetry. And so that's art in itself, but that'll be a different episode when we talk about the JungleRoom remodel. But you guys can see, I know it's awful glossy, but all the way in the back, that backdrop, Larry and I ordered some really cheap photography backdrops off Amazon.com. And then we laid it on the PVC board and epoxied over it. And that's how we created these backgrounds. Now, if I were going to do it again, I would find a way to not make it shiny. And one of the people who engineered and helped build this entire room, or well, mostly built this entire room, had a really nice recommendation to make that not shiny. And the reason is because when I put the night videos on them, the reflection, it's not even, this glass doesn't even bother the reflection of the infrared light as much as that epoxy background does. And that's the same situation we have with Isis's big glass enclosure here. which is an old salon display case. So that's also another episode. And then I'll just come back here and show you guys our vines, because even some stuff that you might not think of as art, I'm thinking of as art right now as I'm going along. And we actually went and cut down all of these vines. We saved the trees from smothering down by the river, because vines do smother the trees. And we brought them home and power washed them and shellacked them. So I used to bleach them and soak them in bleach for 3 days and do all kinds of stuff. But I find that power washing and shellacking takes care of anything. So we'll talk about those more on another day too. All right, now let me tell you guys the story about, let's see, what time is it? Oh, okay, perfect. I am going to tell you guys the story about the dragon lizard. So let's see if this, it's really cool when Larry has it set up so that it follows me around. Maybe I don't know how to do that. So let's see if I am in a good frame here. All right, I feel like this is pretty good. All right. Oh, I have some questions. RO always calls me the goat, which I learned is the greatest of all time. And I definitely agree that I am the greatest of all time in loving these sweet, beautiful animals. So thank you so much for always reminding us how much I love these animals. And Erica says, how often do you find venomous snakes on your trip? Not very often, but you also have to consider, like when we found the fertilants in that cabin, that was because we were clearing it all out. Well, we weren't. I was there that time with Allison and Kyra, so it was us 3 girls, and then we had a crew of 4 men who grew up their whole lives working out there in the jungle. And so they didn't want us, messing with that stuff for obvious reasons, and there was one of them. And the reason we found that fertilants because that was, all being moved out. But typically, we are not even on ground. Well, my very first trip in Peru, I was on ground. I was actually with a research group there. And that trip, we did find venomous snakes, but we were with professionals walking all around looking for everything. Everybody was looking down, and my whole time I had my flashlight looking up for those emeralds. I'll have to save that for another time. So venomous snakes on that very first trip, and then the fertilants. That's it. But you also have to remember on our trips, we're traveling up and down the river at nighttime with flashlights looking up in trees. So the opportunity to find venomous snakes is very, very low. But my friends who live there, they do find a lot of, not a lot, but it seems like a lot, as much as they all talk about it, bushmaster and fertilants, coral, venomous coral snakes. So personally, myself, I think I might have seen 3. And that's out of 10 trips. And that does not count the vine snake, which has that very low rear fanged venom, which a lot of you saw. We got one of those on both trips. Bob came with me. And the second trip when Dave Kaufman came and he had it. So, and you saw maybe on Dave's video, I reached over the boat and picked the snake up and handed it to him. So those vine snakes are very lightly venomous. Bob actually got bit by one on our first trip. He laid down because we weren't sure if he was going to live past the next 15 minutes, but he turned out to be fine. I'm just kidding, just because he had fun doing a bit on the drama of it. But really, honestly, when Bob got bit by that vine snake, he could have had a bigger reaction. So we were really fortunate there was no reaction, which is most common. Their venom is all the way on their rear fangs, and so they'd have to really get a good bite and then chew, get their teeth in there. So just getting bit by just a quick front of the fangs of the vine snake is no big deal, obviously. So yes, Erica, there's the answer to that question. Lady Z, hello. So nice to have you here. Thank you for admiring our beautiful art. I really am proud of it, and I cherish it and love it, and I'm so grateful that I get to share these things that I cherish so much with you guys. Lady Z says, will you have another baby watch live series when another snake for sure expecting and close to due? If you guys want it, I will. Absolutely. You know that this entire thing started with Isis's pregnancy when I wanted to show a video. And like Tara reminded me the other day, that was, an ongoing drama. People couldn't wait to see when she was going to have the babies, what was going to happen. So if you guys want to do that again, it's no problem for me because I always have the camera going on my phone where I have an app that I can just check it anytime. So all I have to do is just screen share and there it is on YouTube. So I absolutely will do that when it gets close to time, of course, because from the day she shed, which was, I can't remember if that was last Thursday. It might be a week ago. I have to check the calendar. I wrote it down. But since the day she shed, now we have 130 to 180 days to wait. And this time we will make sure that she stays warm and under the heat, unlike we did with Isis, letting her roam around and sit in the coolness all the time. Huge mistake on my part, but what can I do now? I learned a great lesson. And moving forward, we will make sure that the heat is on Jormungandr the entire time, nice and warm. But yes, when it gets close, we'll definitely put it out there. And man, for you guys to share in that, such a relief to Larry, because all Larry hears constantly is, look, 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 please, please, just look, wanting him to look at the video. So now I can just go on YouTube and look at my video and I have friends there looking with me. So you guys relieve Larry of that stress. Hello, Renato. Pierre, you kept me up all night last night. I didn't even wake up until like almost 10 o'clock this morning. Pierre lives in Canada and we had so much stuff to talk about with everything that's been going on here with us, all kinds of new developments in America. So we had a great long conversation about that and art and decor and you name it. We talked about it all night long. So I bet you just woke up, didn't you? Ike, thank you for being here with us. It's so good to have you guys here. All right, so the story everybody's been waiting for since it's 2:02, 2 minutes after the hour. I'd like to say goodbye to anybody who does not want to hear my after hours story. And if you do want to hear my after hours story, and it turns out that you don't like it, it's my story. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it. You guys ready? I have told this story on a few other podcasts. So if you go to my YouTube playlist and you see I can't remember if it's called collaboration or something, but interviews. I think it's called interviews about Amazon tree boas. But I've probably done about a dozen podcasts with different people and done a couple interviews myself with people before I had good technology. So I would sure love to redo those interviews, which I will when I go to Suriname with Igor and Mark and Tony and hopefully Kenny. So let me show you guys. I'm just going to get started on it because I have talked about it before. It's not a secret. All right. So this dragon lizard is representative of one of the ayahuasca journey that I took that brought me to become a jungle traveler, that caused me to leave my job as a mathematics instructor at the college to being a jungle explorer looking for these animals. After spending many years earning my degrees in mathematics, a bachelor's degree in mathematics, master's in advanced math, and a PhD in analytics, I spent all of those years studying to be I was exactly what I wanted to be. I was a college math instructor, and it was a dream come true for me. And I did that for a while. And then I took an ayahuasca journey. I started to feel like a Flintstones running in a car, the feet just running, but nothing was moving. Because to really make your dreams come true in education, no matter what the level is, it's like you have hundreds of thousands of people trying to kick their legs in a roaring ocean trying to turn a ship. It just doesn't work. You feel like you're getting nowhere. So I started feeling like that. I was the elected official for our state of Arkansas to represent upper level mathematics. I was working nationwide on a program to bring new math classes, to make it a law in states to bring new math classes that didn't require the manipulation of algebraic algorithms in ways that regular non-science degrees would use. So anyway, I was doing so much work in math, and it just felt, I was doing seminars and doing, like putting together big things. It was just a lot of work, and I really had a good, strong passion for it. But it started feeling like I didn't want to do it anymore. And I had invested all those years and all that time into who I was at that point. So I went on this ayahuasca journey with my people. And what is ayahuasca? Some of you are asking. Ayahuasca is actually a plant medicine, a psychedelic plant medicine that's very commonly used in South America. It goes under many different names in the different countries of South America, and it's most commonly known from Peru as ayahuasca, but they also have their own words for it in Colombia and Brazil and other of the South American countries. Well, I had never been to the jungle. I'd been to South America for scuba diving, but had no experience with the jungle at all. But my family and I had gone through some healing together. And anyway, we started this journey. So I was on one of these journeys, the ayahuasca journey in Tucson, Arizona. It is fully legal. It is a church-based sacrament, and you can look it up, Arizona Yagi Assembly. Ayahuasca is AYAUSCA. So if you want to look up any of that stuff, you can. And I was in my ceremony, and I'm going to try to make a very, very long story really short here. And if you have questions about the details, maybe we could chat about it one day. But I kept seeing this right here. I described this exactly to my daughter, and it was that, lizard, and she just kept going like this, like, come on, come and find me, and she was back in the forest in this vision I was having. And so I went in to find the dragon, and I couldn't find her, and I kept hearing her laughing and, different things. Well, all of a sudden I realized that I was the dragon. and these visions are like dreams, but depending on the meaning that you put on them, to me, it was very meaningful. Obviously, it changed my life, which these journeys, each time you take one, it completely broadens your perspective, usually. And like I said, you guys can do a lot of research on that. Let me just see what's happening here. I have a slight computer thing. It says that my battery is going to die. So let me see where that's plugged in. Okay, it looks like we got that squared away. So when I got into the jungle, and I was looking for the dragon lizard's hands, and then I realized that I was the dragon. And that's why I told you guys, like, all the way up here at the top, it says, if you zoom in on the computer, I am the dragon, I am the dragon. All of this stuff is meaningful to my experience. So after all of that happened, lots and lots of things happened within my dream that night. I'll call it a dream. I ended up the rest of the night just like, and it's very common in these journeys, people have all different types of experiences. I've never had a negative experience like some people explain that they had dark things they needed to deal with. I have gone on these journeys to try to heal from some dark things, but for me, it always ends up being a magical experience that makes me happy. And I had hours worth of tears coming out of my eyes, feeling so joyful and grateful. One of the huge reports of people who take these journeys are gratitude, deep, deep gratitude for things you never even thought about, just being yourself and living in this world and yada, yada, yada. You guys can read about it. Maybe we could do some kind of Zoom chat if anybody wants to really talk about this stuff. I'm always happy to talk about psychedelic plant medicines for healing. So I had this joy and love and gratitude going through me. And what was happening in my vision is that I was just essence, not a body. And I had serpents just like slithering in and out of my essence. And I could hear them and feel them. And this is common. People often have visions of dragons, dragon lizards, and serpents. It's really crazy how similar people's experiences are all around. We're all just basically the same, aren't we? Humans in many ways. So I felt that. Well, after I came back from the journey, I'm already back in Arkansas. This was in Tucson, where I'm from. And when I came back from my journey, I just kept having this sensation. And this is another common side effect of the medicine, the plant medicine, is that I would smell earth, like wet earth. I'd never been to the jungle, like I said. I would feel like when I would walk on my floor upstairs or in the house, I would feel like it was like dirt under my feet. I just kept having like these little flash moment sensations of being in the jungle and much more sounds, like, just like little off daydream type of things. But, I wasn't daydreaming, totally coherent, everything fine, just little, visions in my thoughts. And I then decided that I really wanted a snake. So there's a whole long story to that. I can't say all the stuff in one episode, but we ended up with these emerald boas, which was Larry's choice. I was looking for something really interactive. Actually, initially wanted a false water cobra, 2 of them. But anyway, a whole another story to all that. We ended up with these emeralds. And then I just kept having these strong urges to go to the jungle, and I went. And well, I'm getting ready to go back in 2 weeks, and on my 11th trip to the jungle. So that's pretty crazy how I was led to do all of that. And I feel so fulfilled and happy and full of everything that I felt like I was missing when I was working on my computer constantly and, doing the job for working day and night so hard for everybody else. And as you guys know, in education, even with a PhD, working at the college, it's peanuts. The money is. So, doing literally 20 hours a day, every day, constantly, all year around. I was just really burnt out. So I'm so grateful for this all. And that's where this piece of art came from. That whole story just on its own would be a whole hour episode. So I did cut it super short. Saran says, I often feel sand under my feet walking in the house, dog and boys dragging it. Yeah, I'm serious, you guys. I mean, obviously I'm a person who believes in following your heart and your dreams. And Saran, you probably maybe get to spend some time at the beach. And I just hope you do more of that to satisfy your vision of you doing it. I am going to the jungle. Saran's asking, who am I going with on this trip coming up? I leave November 2nd. And on this trip, I'm going with a fella who is well known for researching these animals in the jungle. I'm probably going to take a full 10 minutes to tell you guys about my upcoming trip, okay? Because since I'm on a roll and I can already feel that I want to tell you enough of it to satisfy you. But this upcoming trip is the most exciting I've ever had so far. I'm going with a fella who is a known researcher of these animals in the wild. Now, if you look at all of my pictures and stuff that I post about my jungle trips and animals that I found out there, I've never found one with a stripe, like the stripe that you see on the animals here in this room. And just to be clear, I always like to make it clear, I have never ever taken an animal out of the jungle. As a matter of fact, when I go to countries that have legal exportation, I actually buy animals that the trappers have caught to sell to the exporters. I buy them and release them back into the jungle in very good locations far, far away. It would be like a needle in a haystack to ever find them again, and it's my hope that they don't. So just to be clear, I do not take these animals out of the jungle. Oh, wow, Saran is having more than just feelings of being on the sand. You definitely need to spend more time in the sand. It's calling to you, Saran. So back to who I'm going with. The fella who has been researching these animals out there for the last decades is doing it in a very specific place in Brazil where the striped emerald boa is found. We say the striped batisi because this is a Corellus batisi. And the Corellus caninus is actually what we're finding in Suriname. The two species were always the same species up until the early 70s. They discovered that they were two separate species. So the pictures that I showed you of the first emerald I ever found was a batisi, but with no stripe. And the batisi with the stripe, like what we have here in captivity, is very difficult to find out there. And I'm going with a fella in Brazil who, like I said, has been studying the striped batisi for decades. And I get to go out there and travel with him and do the observations and get to get a close-up look at these animals in their natural environment, which is magnificent. So in my travels to the jungle, I have, between animals that we found in trees, on the river, in vine systems and bushes, and the animals that we've purchased from the local hunters and trappers to go release so that we can release them back out there. Altogether, I've had 25 wild emerald tree boas in my hands and never a striped one. So I think on this trip, it's going to be the striped batisi. But then not only am I going with this fella, but I'm also taking my guide that I use, the team that I put together in Suriname. The head of that team is Mark. And Mark is going to be traveling. He had to get a passport and everything, super exciting. Traveling from Suriname to Brazil with me. We'll be meeting in Brazil. And then also we're taking a military nature master from Brazil who speaks perfect English. So our team's going to be the four of us. I'm not saying everybody's name because I already said Mark's name, but I like people to be able to make their own announcements, and I don't know who they've told what to, so that's why I'm leaving people's names out. But those four of us, and then the fella who's actually the researcher has two people on his team. So there will be 6 of us out there in the jungle. And it's going to be very exciting. It's dry out there right now. We are not going to have like some big, huge turnout. Like sometimes we go out there and we'll find 5 emeralds in one night or 3 in a night. But even if in the whole week that we're in the deep, deep bush, if we even find one, it was well worth my time. I have gone on trips and spent a lot of time out there and found nothing, but that was me not going with somebody who really knew the area and was specializing in emeralds. That was at the beginning when I first started doing this. And I was just randomly, going out into the middle of nowhere. And hiring fishermen with my friend Reynaldo. We would go out there and he spoke the languages of the South American countries, and we would just go with no plan, go to the Amazon River and just start asking, are there fishermen who know where these trees are? And we'd show them pictures of certain trees that grow the fruit that the rats like to eat, because those rats, of course, attract the snakes. So we were doing really random, searching. Now I'm much more defined. I've learned so much thanks to my friend Igor, who has taught me so much, as well as set me up with Mark and other people in Suriname who have taught me so much. So things are much different these days, and it has been many trips since I've found no emeralds. One mixed in there down to Colombia. That was a long trip. We looked really hard and came up with no emeralds. But again, we were not with somebody who was a professional emerald researcher. All right, you guys, let's see. Saran, you must live somewhere near the water. You guys, I have had such a great time here today. Thank you so much. I hope if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel that you'll log on to your YouTube account and go on there and subscribe. We're super excited. We're gaining subscribers, and once we get to 1,000, we're just about halfway there. Then Larry has a little group of stuff that he's going to put out there, because you're allowed to have a YouTube store once you have 1,000 subscribers. So we're really excited to get to have some t-shirts and some cool stuff of these animals out there. And I'll be back on Monday night. We'll be here working with the emeralds on today. On Thursdays, we do our room tours where I'm just showing you guys a never-ending amount of different little stories to tell about each of our rooms. This is not our only room filled with animals and art and all kinds of stuff. So on Thursday afternoons at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll always be here for a room tour. And unless we decide to move it to 6 in the evening, but I'll let you guys know in advance. And then on Monday evenings at 6 p.m., we are just only talking about the emeralds down here. What do we do with the emeralds? Putting them in the rain chamber, feeding them, taking care of them. Monday nights at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time is emerald time. And then on Tuesdays at 1 p.m., I take you guys upstairs to get to visit Jaja, our super amazing little green iguana, and our 2 sulcata tortoises, our Aztec California king snake, and that's Serapi, and then Hondo Lane, our Pueblan milk snake. So we have all kinds of cool little lives coming for you guys, and I chose to do the live feeds because I enjoy it more than I enjoy making videos and editing them. So thank you guys for being here so much. Erica, thank you for wanting these live streams. You guys who show up here, Saran, Lady Z, Tara, DW, some of you ROs been here a lot lately. And I can't remember, it's not the Predator, but that was a terrible word to use, but I can't remember his name. But there are so many of you who have been coming regularly, and Tara, Erica, Saran, Lady Z, and DW, you've been here from the very, very beginning, and you are the reason that I'm still here today. So thank you guys for making it worth it. Getting to share with you makes me feel so good, and Larry's enjoying it too. I love you guys, and I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again on Monday at 6 p.m. Since I don't have Larry here with me, I do get to come over here and turn you guys off on my own. So I'm going to press this button. Thank you guys. I'll see you again very soon.